Over the past 5 decades, ECOWAS has been pivotal in fostering regional cooperation, promoting economic integration, and upholding democratic governance across West Africa. As we reflect on its journey, achievements, and the challenges ahead, it is essential to gain insight from experts who have closely studied this evolution. But joining us today is Dr. Ekele C. Njoku. He is a lecturer, Department of Political Science, Kingsley Ozumba Mbadiwe University in Imo State. He has extensive research and expertise in West African regional politics. Well, Dr. Njoku offers a profound understanding of ECOWAS's role in shaping the political and economic landscape of the region. Hello, Dr. Njoku. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Amma, for having me.
It's good to have you
again.
Can you
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. So, reflecting on the ECOWAS's 50th anniversary and the journey so far, how would you assess its success in achieving its foundational goals of economic integration as well as political cooperation?
We are happy to witness the golden jubilee of ECOWAS. And as we witness it, we look at ECOWAS' achievement from two perspectives, because it reflects both progress and persistent challenges at the moment. Because while the bloc has made strides in free movements, let's say free movement protocols of ECOWAS, allowing visa-free travel, and also it has made strides in conflict mediation. We can always remember Liberia and Sierra Leone. Its core economic integration goals, I can say that it remains unrealized, so to say, because, for instance, we have the ECOWAS has this eco single currency that has, continued to suffer delay, and intra-regional trade continues to stagnate below 15% of total commerce in this sub-region. So politically, you have this inconsistent adherence to democratic charters. And then the recent coup in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, all these things reveal governance deficits. And so basically, ECOWAS has not really been able to fulfill its Pan-African promise. And so, although we can talk about the movements or the free movement of goods and persons across borders, we can talk about the promotion of economic integration across the region, and it has also played a huge frontline role in resolving conflicts in the region, unifying fights against epidemic and other health related issues, as we could see during the Ebola disease outbreak. But basically, it's important to say that the key objective of ECOWAS is yet to be realized. So we can give them a free pass when it comes to free movement, success, conflict resolution, capacity, but in the areas of economic integration, there is a delay, and then democratic backsliding, it has also been a problem. This is the story of ECOWAS in its, as it marks its golden jubilee. Amma.
Okay, so in your understanding, how would you say ECOWAS's mandate has evolved since its inception, which was in 1975? Well, this is particularly as it concerns peacekeeping and democratic governance as well. I know you touched about that a little bit when we were talking about the Mali and Burkina Faso and the insurgency happening in some parts of West Africa.
Uh, okay, I can say that since its formation or establishment since 1975, ECOWAS has undergone significant mandate expansion, from uh, economic integration to becoming, let's say, what we see as West Africa's primary security guarantor at the moment. And that's why we talk about the post-Cold War era from 1991. You see the ECOWAS monitoring group, its interventions in Libya and Syria alone. It marks what we call a pivotal shift in the mandates of ECOWAS. You see ECOWAS now more of a peacekeeping bloc, and then there is this institutionalization of peacekeeping by ECOWAS with the 1999 Protocol on Conflict and Prevention. And then you see the 2001
Hello, Dr. Chike, are you there?
as overthrowing elected governments.
Okay.
So the post-Cold War era have seen ECOWAS develop robust, conflict management tools. You can talk about, I've talked about ECOMOG. You can also talk about ECO1, which is the early warning system, and then the mediation frameworks, where you talk about eminent persons in ECOWAS leading this peacekeeping or peace building or peacemaking initiatives, depending on how you see it. So, why pioneering African-led peacekeeping? At the moment, ECOWAS struggles to balance non-interference principles with enforcing constitutional order and zero tolerance for coups. So, recent challenges you talk about Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and ECOWAS inconsistent enforcement of democratic protocols and tensions between maybe sovereignty, as you rightly asked, between sovereignty and intervention, it tests ECOWAS credibility. So while it can be said that ECOWAS has achieved notable conflict resolution successes, ECOWAS still struggles to balance its pro-democracy mandates with resurgence authoritarianism in West Africa.
Okay, so moving on, what would you say have been the major achievements and obstacles in ECOWAS's pursuit to economic integration among its member states?
Okay, I think I think despite these challenges, ECOWAS has somehow to largely done well despite these challenges and obstacles. We first of all we have to look at regional integration.
Okay.
You talk about where you talk about free movement of persons. It's one of the best performing regional economic communities based on the 2021 African Integration Report. On the other hand, you can talk about trade integration, where you see ECOWAS performing well in terms of common markets, especially in 2013. The ECOWAS adopted this common external tariff, CET. as a way of strengthening its common market. You see ECOWAS, you see, banks like EcoBank, where they call it Pan-African Bank. You see such support and all those things. So in some, acceleration of economic, monetary, and trade integration has been, things that ECOWAS, has been doing. So, but since the mid 70s, there has been a dynamic process of regional integration in all aspects of development, and this important aspect, of this process has to do with a gradual consolidation of regional markets, which has resulted in an increase in inter-community trade. And so away from economy, you have these peacekeeping missions of ECOWAS. It's something that is also very important, where ECOWAS has played a very huge role. So ECOWAS has this track record of peacekeeping missions, and it has adopted about three protocols. You have the protocol on non-aggression. That was 1978, I believe so. And then you have the protocol relating to mutual assistance on defense. That was in 1981. And then the protocol relating to the mechanism for prevention, conflict prevention, management, resolution, peacekeeping, and security. That was in 1999. And also, what mentioning, although I've said it earlier, is the ECOWAS monitoring group in ECOMOG, yeah, that played huge role in Liberia and Sierra Leone. And so away from that, also you can talk about infrastructure development. Although we are still, is expected to commence in 2026, where the highway corridor projects that will connect Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, is a transnational road network. When completed, is expected to foster economic integration of these 5 countries. But then you have challenges. I'm sorry, it looks like I'm taking so
Please
much
go
time.
ahead.
But then, okay, so you have these challenges where, despite all the achievements or successes that have been recorded by ECOWAS, all these concrete achievements, you still have some challenges militating against the integration drive, and they continue to pose a risk. And so you have individually, whether individually or collectively, you have an ECOWAS that has been unable to drive out insurgency and terrorism, in the sub-region. And
Yeah.
so you see, since 2010, you have groups like Boko Haram, is a name that, once you hear it, you know what it means. And then you have the Islamic State West African Province as well. These groups, you also have the Islamic State in the Greater Sahel. You have JNIM, difficult to get the full meaning from here. And so these groups, have been, in one way or the other, terrorizing West Africa sub-region. And according to Global Terrorism Index, in 2024, a report was released that terrorism has, gradually moved from Middle East and North Africa, into the Sahel region of Sub-Saharan Africa. So this is where we are now. So that's where you see Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, all these countries, the reasons they gave for establishing the Alliance of Sahel States.
Yeah.
So they say it's partly due to ECOWAS inadequate support in combating terrorism. So away from terrorism, you also have this maritime, we say maritime security or maritime insecurity. So it's a problem, the problem of piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. It has been a problem. So, the Gulf of Guinea is very strategic
Yeah.
because vessels, are conveying oil from, let's say, to American and European markets. So you see this hotspot for piracy in Gulf of Guinea. So to say, despite commendable efforts, regarding maritime strategy in terms of surveillance, personnel training, maritime exercises, information sharing, and all those things, piracy and armed robbery at sea, kidnapping, oil theft, all these things have been a problem for ECOWAS. And then away from that, you can talk about viral diseases. We always remember Ebola, the Ebola disease. We still talk about HIV and AIDS. All these things are a problem. Now, there's something significant here. There is the Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance in 2021 by ECOWAS, which aim to uphold liberal democracy and good governance in West African sub-region. But the thing is, I think I can say, maybe arguably, that it's just Ghana. We can say that Ghana is a hub, a democratic hub, or a beacon of democracy in Africa. Uh, Outside Ghana, it's difficult to say because you see some of these countries, you can talk about the Gambia, you can talk about Togo, you can talk about Senegal. You have Wade of Senegal, you have Jammeh of Gambia, and Nassimbe of Togo. You have some of these seat-side attitude in African democracy and all these things. Where ECOWAS fails to deter these presidents. They continue to focus on cues. They continue to talk about you don't have to carry a cue or this and that. But then there's this less emphasis on governance and seaside syndrome of some African leaders. And then the most important one at the moment is this crack or fracture in ECOWAS, where you have over the past 5 years, you have some of the Francophone countries in the Sahel region, like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, withdrawing from ECOWAS because of first of all, they talk about the sanctions imposed on them, the control, believing that some African countries, all African countries are being controlled by foreign powers, accusing African countries of no longer, not being Pan-Africanist enough, and then the inability to combat terrorism. So, but although ECOWAS is saying that our doors are open to welcome you back and all
Mm-hmm.
those things, but basically, these suspensions and sanctions or threats of military actions, they have at the moment proved ineffective, in compelling military juntas to restore constitutional order or constitutional democracy. Now, one thing again we have to look at is even where there are no military coup or something like that, you see some of these countries in West Africa uh, indirectly working against, the democratic order. You see erosion of democratic values. And that's why, for instance, I think last year, you see the end bad governance protesters. You see them, in some parts of northern Nigeria, waving the Russian flag, calling the military to intervene in our politics and all
Yeah.
that. So these are some of the challenges, some of the obstacles. You also have security challenges. Although I've mentioned some, but then you have some transnational organized crimes like armed trafficking, drug trafficking, and all these things. And you must also remember the catastrophic consequences of the climate change, directly or indirectly is affecting us. So these are some of the challenges that looks like that makes it look like, despite all the achievements of ECOWAS, that the body or the organization or the community hasn't done enough when it comes to regional integration.
Okay. So, well, looking ahead, what strategic reforms would you recommend for ECOWAS? Now, this is to strengthen its effectiveness in economic and political integration.
It depends looking forward. Uh, um, Strategic reforms I would like to recommend, although basically most times it looks like they don't hear us. They don't listen to us in the media now at the moment. But then basically, uh, I think we have to talk about Vision 2050. Vision 2050.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we are looking at strategic reform, ECOWAS at the moment has, they keep, let me put it this way, they keep, churning our vision or churning our reforms. If we are in 2010, they will say in 2020, this is what we are going to achieve. When we get to 2020, it's always about 2030. When we are in 2030, even without achieving those things, it's always 2040 or 2050. So, but then we're looking at the 20 vision where ECOWAS is talking about ECOWAS of the peoples. That's the vision, ECOWAS of the peoples, peace and prosperity for all. I know they have this desire of its citizens to live together, barrier free, in security and good health, so as to achieve shared prosperity while respecting their fundamental human rights. So they have about either five or four developmental teams where they concentrate or they want to concentrate on human capital, social development and migration, and environment, natural resources, governance, security and peace, economic growth, employment, structural transformation, all these things, economic and monetary integration. So we believe that there is a need for ECOWAS to build bridges at the moment. To me, building a bridge here has to do with going to look for a way to talk to the Alliance of Sahel States. So there is need for unity and political
Mm.
stability.
Okay.
You just have to look for a way to talk to them. ECOWAS basically started it by um, pronouncing sanctions and then saying that, okay, we want to ease these sanctions. Come, let's talk. Let's see what is the problem. I think that's a good thing to do. So it's important. And then ECOWAS has to build institutional capacity because there is, in some quarters, there is this accusation of ECOWAS not doing enough, not being able to do or to build institutions that are capable of encouraging, some of these our leaders or site leaders, to observe constitutional or democratic tenets. So there is also a need to deepen mutually beneficial cooperation with foreign powers. I know they are doing that. But then it has been like bilateral relations with Russia, China, Turkey, and some of these countries. So it's important for ECOWAS to deepen these cooperations with
Mm.
foreign powers. So I think it's important. So
Okay.
ECOWAS also uh, need to deepen because think of the economic integration, which is the main objective of ECOWAS.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you done well? It's a question ECOWAS has to ask. Have you done well in integrating this sub-region economically? It's a decimal, something to measure ECOWAS with. That's the point.
Okay. Dr. Njoku, thank you for coming on the show today and giving us those updates. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having me, Amma.
All right. Thank you too.